Hey everyone, and welcome back. Have you ever wondered what's really going on in classrooms these days, especially with something like poetry? Well, you can forget about dusty old books and just memorizing lines. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how it's actually taught. And spoiler alert, it's way more than just finding words that rhyme. Let's dive in.
And you know, this quote from a student, it just hits the nail on the head. This is the whole point. It's not about finding some single correct answer. It's all about using poems as a key, really, to unlock totally new ways of thinking. And we're about to see exactly how teachers make that happen.
All right, so first things first, the big idea here is that the reason we teach poetry has totally changed. The focus isn't just on, spotting a rhyme here and there. It's shifted to understanding how a poet uses their entire toolkit, all these different tricks and techniques to make us, the readers, feel something.
And look, this isn't just some random new idea a teacher came up with. It's literally written into the official playbook, like this standard right here from the Georgia Department of Education. The key words to notice are explain, analyze, and use. Think about that. Students aren't just supposed to read poetry anymore. They're taught to take it apart, figure out how it works, and then build their own.
Okay, so just for a second, think back. How did you learn poetry in school? I bet for a lot of us it was something like memorizing a poem, maybe The Raven, or just circling rhyming words on a worksheet. It was kind of passive, right? Well, what we're about to see is the total opposite. It's hands-on, it's teamwork, and it's all about creating.
So where do you even begin? Well, before you can take apart an engine, you need to know what a wrench is, right? It's the same idea here. Before students can analyze a poem, they need the vocabulary. So step one is all about giving them the basic tools and creating a shared language so everyone's on the same page.
And the way they do this is actually pretty simple, but really effective. It's called a class anchor chart. Basically, it's a giant poster that the whole class builds together. It's like their cheat sheet, and it stays up on the wall for everyone to see and use. It becomes the visual foundation for everything else they're going to learn.
Okay, so first up on the chart is the one we all learned as kids, rhyme. Super simple, right? Words that have the same ending sound, like cat, hat, bat, done.
Then they level up. They build on that idea with rhyme scheme. And this is a really important step, because now it's not just about one-off rhymes. It's about looking for a deliberate structure, a pattern that the poet put there on purpose.
And to round out our starter toolkit, we have stanza. The easiest way to think about this, it's just a paragraph before a poem. It's how poets group their lines and ideas together. So there you have it. With just those three terms, rhyme, rhyme scheme, and stanza, students are now equipped to put on their detective hats.
All right, toolkit? Check. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to put a real poem under the microscope. We're basically going to step inside the classroom and watch a teacher guide the students as they take apart a very specific and very fun type of poem, the limerick.
So the teacher kicks things off by reading a fun little example out loud, something like this one here. It's silly, right? It's catchy. And that makes it the perfect thing to start analyzing.
And this is key. Watch what the teacher does next. They don't just explain it. Nope. They ask a question. They turn the whole thing into a group investigation. They're basically saying, okay, team, you have the tools. Now use them on this poem and tell me what you find. And this is where the magic happens, the big aha moment. The teacher guides them through it. Line 1 ends with hat, so let's call that sound A. Line 2, that, it rhymes, so it's also A. Line 3, play. New sound. We'll call that B. Line 4, day, rhymes with play, so that's another B. And the last line, rat. That goes all the way back to rhyming with hat and that, so we're back to A. And boom, right there in front of you, you've discovered the pattern. A, B, B, A.
And the whole point of this exercise is for them to realize that this pattern isn't a mistake. It's the rule. It's the blueprint for every single limerick. By finding it themselves, the light bulb goes on. Poetry isn't random. It has a structure, and poets make very specific choices.
But here's the thing. Taking poems apart is only half the battle. The real magic, the really cool part, is when the kids switch from being critics to actually being creators themselves. And that's exactly what this next phase is all about.
They do it with this awesome activity called a poetry walk. Just look at the process here. They read a poem, they talk about it, they add the new stuff to their anchor chart. Then, they write their own poems. And this is the best part. They tape their poems up around the classroom, and then everyone gets up and walks around, reading each other's work and leaving feedback. Then, they go back and make their poems even better. It's a full creative cycle.
And check this out. The feedback isn't just, hey, good job. They're given these sentence starters to guide them. This forces them to use the actual vocabulary they've been learning. They have to talk about the technique someone used and the effect it had on them as a reader. That's a way higher level of thinking, right?
So, when you put it all together, the anchor charts, taking the poems apart, the poetry walk, it's all leading up to one big, important goal. And that goal is empowerment. It's about taking students from being just readers to being confident writers. It's about pulling back the curtain on creativity and showing them that they can do it too. So look, if there's one thing you remember from all this, let it be this shift. It's the move from asking, what is this thing, to asking, what does this thing do? A student doesn't just learn to say, oh, that's an ABBA rhyme scheme. They learn to explain why that ABBA pattern is exactly what makes the limerick feel so bouncy and funny. It's all about connecting the tool to its impact.
And that really leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? When you teach a kid the blueprint for something creative, like a poem, when you show them that it has rules and a structure and a purpose, you're really giving them a mental model for creativity itself. So you have to wonder, how does learning to deconstruct, analyze, and then build something new, how does that skill set them up for life way, way beyond a single poetry class?